Hello gamers, I am Mike TheZorch and I'm here with TygraCon. This is the Linux Gamer Show. Now, our first show, we did talk? Sorta? We were kind of distracted by everything going on in the game.
We were distracted.
Yeah, we were distracted. So what I thought of doing is changing the format so that we're a pre-recorded show. We're already doing live streams like all throughout the weekday with LoreQuest. And there's other stuff we want to do, and we thought, we're only going to spend like one day playing some stuff. And also, Tygra's got projects he's doing, I got projects I'm doing, and things. So just narrow the show down to this pre-recorded program instead of doing the whole long gameplay thing that we did the very first time. And that also makes everything make more sense, and you don't have to sit through a 3 or 4 hour video just to find out what we were saying.
Yeah, I think
that's a good idea.
I don't even remember what we were talking about, so it's probably a good idea.
We were talking about our reasons behind why we were choosing to go to Linux, and our decisions of which.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, this is a sort of addendum to that to a degree.
Yeah, it is. Now, before we get to the main topic of the show, we got some news items to cover. Microsoft introduced a bug which causes the task manager to stay open when you hit the X to close it. The window closes and then it spawns a new one. And every time you try to close it, it spawns another process.
Actually, from some of the stuff I've seen,
keep going to
it can spawn more than one.
Oh,
I think
more
I saw
than just
it was
that?
spawning more than one.
Oh.
Yeah,
so
it's acting silly, yeah.
Yeah, and you were telling me that that functionality of that button's pretty deep in the operating system.
Yeah. If it's just the close box or if it's just the window closing, there's a couple of things that could cause it. But if it's the Xbox directly, as in the X close box of the button, then yeah, that you got to screw something pretty hard to get that to do that.
Yeah.
That's such a fundamental system to Windows, regardless. That, I mean, if there's no other application running, you could still get to that one app. It is that important.
Yeah.
And without it, if even that doesn't work, you don't got nothing. Your machine's just staring at you blankly.
Yeah.
So, if all other apps die, it's the one thing that can kind of get you back to a working state. And if that's kind of gone bonkers, then there's something really critical going on. Because it also, I think that that application runs in special privileges too to be in that state. So my guess is this is probably a security risk too somewhere in Windows. Probably. If they don't fix it soon, somebody's going to find it.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of security risks, there's apparently a vulnerability in Windows concerning the code that handles the code that handles shortcuts will allow command injection of commands from outside.
They broke that too,
and that hasn't been fixed in some time. Now, someone can inject commands through the shortcut codes, the code that controls shortcuts. Yeah, I saw an article on that recently. And just another reason for us to move to Linux.
Microsoft calls it Copilot. You know what I immediately think of when I think of Microsoft Copilot? The Copilot in the movie Airplane. I think that's what's running the show over there at this point. That's Copilot. It's just a big blown up dummy balloon that's their Copilot, I think now. That should be their mascot.
And there's been some drama with AMD graphics cards. AMD made some announcement concerning RDNA 1 and 2 with the 5000 and 6000 series cards. I've got a 6000 series card. And people were saying, oh, they're going to stop releasing drivers. They're going to stop releasing features for it. AMD clarified the statement, saying what they were doing is they were splitting off the code base for the 5000, 6000 series from the newer cards, so that they wouldn't basically muddy the waters of the older cards with features from the newer cards and make them more stable. And that the older cards would still get updates and still get more features as needed, and optimizations for upcoming game releases. So they are not stopping development of drivers for the older cards. Well,
it sounds like the newer cards. It sounds like the newer cards might have features that you would never go into the old ones because they probably just can't do it.
They do.
So why introduce code that you just have to comment out for something that's not even going to be able to use it anyway? But still have it kind of its own thing, features that can go in, because they'll be able to tell when they design a feature, this won't work on that card. Don't put it in that code base, and then save them the trouble of like having to make sure it just doesn't wreck it.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Yep.
But new features go where they belong.
The new cards definitely do. They have basically the new Fidelity FX Super Resolution. Basically works like DLSS now. It uses machine learning.
I figured it would eventually be too long before these things start sort of merging together anyway, because I mean, developers trying to maintain both of this stuff. This kind of card-based code stuff is why DirectX was ever created to begin with. It's why we have things like DirectX, Vulkan, and OpenGL. Standardized libraries that developers can code for and not have to worry with the hardware implementations. I mean, having to do it, this driver for this card and that driver for that, that's so 90s. Get over yourselves, companies.
Yes. Okay, cut there. And we're going to move on to the main topic.
So you're doing these in different segments?
I'm going to put like a transition in.
Okay, that's fine.
And now on to the main topic of the show. The reason why we're making this program right now. Well, part of the reason why we're making this program, you were curious to see what market share Xbox had.
Well, it came from the news that Microsoft was no longer going to have a dedicated console. That their next Xbox was going to be essentially just a flamboyant PC.
Yeah. Basically,
and
a PC
people
with
were saying
compatibility to their with their console, plus the ability to run Steam games and everything.
Yeah, which basically makes it the consoles are not much more than PCs in a fancy box anyway. Yeah. So we were already. It's been this way for quite some time. I think maybe the PS3 I think was one of the last truly dedicated systems.
No, the PS3 that was PowerPC.
That was PowerPC.
The PlayStation 4 was AMD. And so was the Xbox
What about the
One.
What about the PS5? What was that?
The PS5, that is AMD also. Both Xbox and PlayStation.
But in terms of the overall hardware design of the entire system, is it how close to being just a regular computer is it now? Because they're kind of getting to that point already. It's not like the old days of the old NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, where it was, a pre-designed, pre-done, customized machine with custom chips and custom layouts and a few off-the-shelf parts thrown in for good measure. And they don't do that anymore.
No, they don't do that anymore.
Off-the-shelf, standard stuff. Your regular hard drive can fit in there and just format it and make it a, drive for the machine. And you could do that since the PS3.
They're basically PCs with a lockdown UEFI. Xbox runs a cut down variant of Windows, and the PlayStation runs FreeBSD.
Yeah.
Or a variant of FreeBSD.
So they're already on this trend. They've been on this trend for a while.
They've been on it for a while.
It's just Microsoft decided to throw in the towel first.
Yeah. Now, how locked down this Xbox PC that can run Steam and other stuff will be, I don't know. We don't have any information on that yet, and we probably won't get any information till
unless somebody leaks it between now and then.
They could announce it at the Game Awards in December, or they might wait
They'll just give you the basic specs
next year.
Microsoft will probably advertise it as an Xbox. They probably won't advertise it as they'll try to hide what they're doing.
They've got this
in their
advertising
marketing
campaign of everything's an Xbox. Your phone, your TV, your PC.
Well, it was kind of the division that was making them games, but then Microsoft moved the post on that for themselves.
They're essentially giving in. They're basically giving up.
Yeah.
They're giving in. They're not going to build a dedicated.
I am of the
anymore.
opinion this will be the last Xbox, because I think what they're going to do is they're going to transition to Xbox Live only and just say. So here's what started it. Here's what got me thinking. I was watching a Baylor video. The guy's got some really good sauce, and he was pointing out how Microsoft has a new mandate from someone there at Microsoft that all their divisions have to make 30% profit. And I think that is the core that's driving a lot of what's happening out of there.
Yeah.
You got to make a 30% profit across the board. Everybody does. And I think that's drastically affecting how Microsoft's going forward. And then this is probably a result of that to some degree. And I think this will be the last Xbox I think they'll make. Because after that, they're going to lean into their Xbox Live, because Microsoft wants everything in the cloud, in the cloud, in the cloud. You know, that's their whole spiel these days. They want you up in their cloud. And there's some joke commercials in GTA 5 over this.
Yeah.
We're kind of pressing it now. So they I think in doing so, I think that's where Xbox is going to end up. It's going to end up in the cloud. They're going to want to probably try to move to streaming you your games so they can keep it all locked up. Of course, most networks aren't. I mean, they'll do what they have now for PC, Xbox Live client, but I think they're going to slowly even try to pull away from that if they can. But it got us to wondering, what was the share in terms of gaming?
Yeah.
And other components to Microsoft.
I had looked up some numbers and it gave us a weird number. I think it was doing it from the context of handheld.
It might have been, because when I looked it up later, I'm like, no, that number's too. Because it felt wrong to me when you first found it. What was it? You were using?
It was
Grok.
I was using Grok, and it gave
Grok.
Gave me a market share percentage.
Market share of 8%, and I was kind of like, they're doing bad, but they ain't that bad.
Yeah.
Even I was like, no, that don't sound right. I don't know what it is, but it can't be that.
They're still behind Nintendo, though.
I did a little research of my own, separate from that, and I found it's closer to about 20 to 30%, give or take. It's still dramatically low.
Yeah.
And so we started doing more research.
Yeah.
So we started doing more research into the broader Microsoft shares, and it's pretty much common knowledge that Microsoft does not rule the roost when it comes to server tech. Servers, Linux is the dominant server systems out there. And Microsoft's even burned their own biscuits on that a few times, where they had to give in and go Linux, because I remember back in the day, Hotmail ran on Linux. Remember that? And Microsoft thought they were going to be cute and put it on Internet Information Server, Windows NT, and the thing basically melted on them. So they've never been ready there. And so they've never owned that market. Linux has always been dominant. A lot of it has to do with security. A lot of it has to do with a lot of other reasons. Price being a biggie. So they are so server markets, they're weak in. Mobile markets, handheld mobile markets, they're non-existent.
Yeah.
It's so negligible, it's laughable. I mean, Google and Android just own that space.
They had a couple of mobile operating systems back in the day.
For a little while.
Windows CE, and then they had Windows Mobile, and those.
And they had some handheld mobile phones, but it didn't last
long.
It didn't live long. It wasn't long for the world. So so mobile, they're not existent. Server, they've got what, 10-20% maybe? I think it's somewhere in there. Gaming, they have fallen behind. Nintendo's outpacing them. Sony's outpacing them.
Nintendo's outpacing even Sony.
Nintendo's giving a Sony run for its money. They're doing pretty good.
Despite all the controversies with the Switch
in a way, it's kind of Nintendo did something interesting that maybe actually worked in their favor. A lot of people game on their phones.
Yeah. And
so I think that gave Nintendo a leg up since gaming had gone mobile in that way. People are so used to their phones, gaming on their phones, that gaming on another handheld didn't feel very alien to them. Yeah. And I think it worked in their favor. I think that's the one time I think Nintendo, in all their weirdness that they've done throughout the years, the one time where they actually kind of got the idea right. They actually, instead of being behind everybody else like they were back in the CD days, I think they actually sneaked out ahead of everybody else with that.
Yeah.
They read the market correctly on that one. So they're doing good on that regard. So yeah, they're outpacing Microsoft. They're outpacing Sony. I mean, PCs are pretty much the dominant place for PCs nowadays. Gaming nowadays is either PCs or mobile.
Yeah.
And consoles an endangered species. It really is. I mean, there's a lot of retro consoles out there, a lot of stuff like that, but that's the thing, is it's more legacy now than anything else.
There's something of a retro revolution happening.
There is a retro revolution, but that's a whole different category, though.
Yeah, that's a
because nobody owns that space.
Yeah.
So, if anything, I would say Perifractic is kind of stepping into the arena out on the fringes by reviving Commodore to some degree.
Yeah.
But we don't know whether he's going to take that yet.
Yeah.
But anyway,
as far as I know, that's going to start shipping. It's supposed to start shipping this month.
Is it? That's cool.
Yeah, those machines are supposed to start shipping this month.
But that's just kind of reclaiming where Commodore was.
Yeah.
We don't know where they're going to go with it. What's their future plans? We don't know yet.
Yeah.
So they're not a player yet.
No.
They're just finding their footing. It's amazing that they're
trying to compete with the other consoles. They're
not. They're not. It's a different space altogether.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see which way that they read the modern market and try to maneuver what they're doing. Other than now, they could just cater to retro and stuff like that, and that's fine. That's a good space. There's like nobody really there.
Like the new Amiga that's coming. Like the Atari is releasing a remake of the Intellivision with a bunch of games.
I'm surprised Apple hasn't stepped into this arena and re-released a modernized old Apple IIe stuff. But anyway, a modern GS or something. But anyhow,
I wouldn't see them doing that.
No, they're too busy owning everybody's mobile phones.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to Microsoft. So mobile, they're non-existent. Servers, they're weak. Gaming, they're getting weaker. And of course, everybody knows desktop is where Microsoft is dominated.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're kind of getting into. This is what's really holding Microsoft afloat.
That's starting to slip.
Well, and that's kind of the thing is, with Windows 10, everything had been fine.
Yeah.
You know, manufacturers were happy to sell their machines with Best Buy and all the other retailers, and it has a copy of Windows 10 on it, and Microsoft makes a buck off that. And that's all been handy-dandy.
Oh, and never mind the fact that this was supposed to be the last version of Windows.
Well, according to Microsoft, once upon a time, even though they won't admit it, they try to hide that fact now, but it was supposed to be the forever operating system is how they coined it. that they'll always be doing updates to it. It'll be the last thing they want to mess with because it's a lot of work. Well, somewhere between there and now, Microsoft decided to change their mind on that. And they decided to create the monstrosity known as Windows 11. And it'd be fine if other things hadn't started breaking down over there, where they wanted this TPM chip and all this other stuff that you wanted to have on your hardware. And initially, everyone looked at that and goes, "That's not good. That's not a good idea." But we figured we had a little while with Windows 10, but then Microsoft's like, you know what? We're going to just kill Windows 10 early. And it is early because when you look back at the lifespan of Windows 98, Windows XP, Windows 7 was a little short, but its support went on as long as it normally would.
Yeah.
When you look back at all their previous operating systems, they had a much longer lifespan than Microsoft gave Windows 10.
Wow, Windows 7
they cut it
was
early.
Still going on while Windows 8 was around.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yeah. So for so they've cut the life. They've literally killed Windows 10 early just to push their Windows 11.
Yeah.
Because people were still using 10 and we're happy with using 10. The problem with 10 is it still runs. You can still use it just fine right now. As far as I know, Windows Update for it still works, though I wouldn't dare to do it, not at this point. But Windows 11 would be fine, except for the other things that have changed at Microsoft. Along with killing 10 early and trying to force people, the TPM thing, if people are trying to be legitimate Windows users, Microsoft's made such a big deal of that in the past. Now you have to throw if you got a slightly older machine that's still perfectly functional, now people have to throw it away, which is creating tons of e-waste for no reason. But I got some more comments on that too.
I saw some estimated numbers. 500 million machines are suddenly e-waste because of Windows 10 support ending.
Well, see, now here's my thing with that. This is forced. This isn't something that it could easily be worked around, but Microsoft won't let it. This is not a technical problem.
No, it's not.
This is a corporate decision problem, because here's my thinking on this. All these new machines that people have to replace, they have to replace their machine. Where does Microsoft make their desktop money at? Selling Windows. How do they sell Windows? They don't sell it directly. That's not their biggest market. It's going through Best Buy, or people buying their machines with a pre-bundled copy of Windows, with Windows on it. Well, that's how Microsoft gets paid.
Yeah.
Every time somebody buys a machine with a prepackaged, it's always more. They always pass the cost on to the buyer. It's called the Microsoft tax. So how many machines did you say? 500 billion?
500 million.
500 million. So 500 million. Microsoft's looking at that going, that's 500 million in sales. We had to keep this desktop thing afloat. So hey, that's all money for us. People buying new machines because we make them buy new machines.
Yeah.
Here's our one-shot infusion of free cash. And then it's like all that environmental material going into waste. It's like people that get up on their high horse and go, "How dare you should be tearing Microsoft's walls down."
Oh, yeah, and you don't see those. You don't see the usual people.
You don't see it.
That are up on their soapbox just screaming climate change,
die environment. Why aren't they over there, telling Microsoft, yo,
screaming at Microsoft about this?
Yeah, this is wrong. You're wasting. Now, a lot of people, a lot of these machines are perfectly fine. Yeah. They could run Windows 11. Many of them could run Windows 11 just fine.
The only thing is that they don't have TPM 2.0.
And
that's
the
only thing.
And all that does is give people the back door to your machine.
Yeah.
It does. That's it. That's what it does. It makes your machines less secure. It forces your identity out, and Microsoft makes money on that. That's the other part that supports them, is Microsoft selling your data, selling your information to make money. That's the other
why
part
they are so hell-bent on forcing you to use a Microsoft account when you
That's
when
what's
you
driving
install
that, because
Windows,
they're going down these roads. They're trying to force you down a particular road to force you so that it gets them more money. And trying to force the issue.
They want that so bad. This is what they're doing. They're getting YouTube to yank down videos that tell people how to bypass installing Windows with a Microsoft account. Getting it labeled as dangerous and harmful content in the community guidelines. They're yanking videos.
Well, YouTube and all theirs too. Google is not in a great place themselves these days.
Google's not in a good spot either.
They've recently, a lot of videos that talked about, shall I say, certain conspiracy, quote, theories, quote, those groups are coming back. Wouldn't it be ironic that someone who's going on about politics and conspiracy, and that YouTube had banned hundreds of them, have all come back, and now they're going to ban people who talk about Microsoft, that Microsoft's the new threat, or that, talking against Microsoft is now the new threat.
Yeah.
It's like, really? We just went through all this other crap, and YouTube's going to let somebody else tell them what to do.
You got that Microsoft had let go a bunch of people, and so did all big tech companies have basically let go a lot of people lately, and
that's been happening across the board.
AI, they're using AI heavy. Like Microsoft had announced it 30% of Windows 11 is written by AI.
And that leads back to, I think, our little conversation at the beginning about the task manager. Because I looked at that and I said, this smells of an AI bug.
Yeah.
This smells of an AI bug.
Your project, you've been using ChatGPT and a little bit of Grok.
Okay, yeah. Let me detail that.
Yeah.
So I am building Linux from scratch. In this process, I wanted an easy way to manage my packages that I was downloading and building and installing. I built a menu system. Well, I didn't personally write it. What I did was I created pseudocode. Now, what pseudocode is, a lot of people know it, but in case you don't, pseudocode is the design of a program that's not actual software coding like C or Java or anything like that. It's not that. What it is, it's a designer's way to write down what they want the program to do. It's sort of a pre-development step.
Yeah.
Where you write it down in English. Well, the interesting thing about large language models like ChatGPT is they can actually interpret that pseudocode, that very English written in English, like what we're speaking, and convert it to a language that it basically can write the code for you if your pseudocode is good enough. Well, I sat down and I very meticulously wrote out as many details as I could possibly think of for that menuing system, including if the number of entries exceeds the number of space on screen, that it would enable a paging feature. And when I first checked it, the paging feature seemed to work. That it with the code that it generated for my menu system, along with a few other minor bugs, the code that generated the lines on the screen for the menu items worked. It appeared to. So I progressed forward. About halfway through, I noticed something. So one of the things that was in my descriptions of what I wanted it to do was, if there's room enough, there's maximum space for 16 lines of menu items. If it goes to 17, instead of paging with the next item single all by itself on the next screen, it would cut the bottom 3 off the first screen, and that way there'd be 4 items on the next screen. And it would fill that until it filled up the same way, and it would repeat. The bug it was a minor bug, that it only did it for the first page. That was a bug introduced by ChatGPT. It's a minor bug. It's a little bitty bug. But it's the kind of bug ChatGPT, if I wrote it myself, I could have created the same bug. I don't know. But it's like I was not paying as much attention. It was a minor thing. It wasn't what I was doing. I wanted a menu system for what I was doing. I got it. It produced it. It mostly worked. So I moved on about my business, moved on. Guess you could say low quality control on my part. Didn't test that it worked on every screen. But that little bug went on a long time before I noticed it. Now, scale this up to something the size of Microsoft. And hundreds of thousands of lines of code. With developers that, Microsoft probably has a few good engineers, but they're doing AI so they don't have to pay for so many engineers anymore. So there's fewer people, they're less skilled, nothing personal against them, but they're going to be fewer people, less skilled, so they don't get paid as much. That's just the trend these days. That they're doing that because AI lets them do that. But in the same way that AI introduced a bug for me, tiny, minuscule, you don't watch it, it'll be there, and it won't crop up until you're not looking. That's the kind of bug that could sneak into these bits of code that these engineers do not realize is going on until it's out the door. That's why I said what's going on with this kind of thing just smells of an AI bug. They probably let ChatGPT write the bit of code, not ChatGPT, they use Copilot. They let Copilot write that piece of code, and it introduced that bug. It's small, almost unnoticeable, a little bitty thing. Here's the thing, that one thing is not the end of the world, just like mine. Okay, the program doesn't code, LOL, everyone laughs. This is dumb, they'll fix it. So an engineer gets in there and plugs the hole. This is the one we caught. How long before these little tiny little holes start adding up to big holes? Start adding up to security holes. Start adding up to functionality holes. You can see this in Apple. Let me get a drink real quick. Apple's UI has tiny little glitches in it because they're letting their AI system write it for them. So these tiny little errors don't seem like much right now. They're small, minuscule, but what's happening is
they'll start adding up.
It's collecting interest on tech debt. It's creating tech debt for them when there shouldn't be any at all. AI is a good tool. It can do a good job, but I have learned the hard way from my own use that the developer who's using it has to know how to use it and know what to look out for. Because AI will do its own little thing and it'll look kind of right, and it'll try to convince you what it has is perfectly fine. And it'll argue with you over it, but it's not fine. And you try to correct it and it'll reintroduce it. You think, oh, I've got the AI to understand, don't do this, and then 3 queries later, the bug is back. I have had this happen plenty of times to me. I've been through the ups and downs, and things don't make me pull my hair out sometimes trying to argue with this thing. Sometimes it's been right, or I've made a mistake and it was confused because I was trying to tell it incorrect information, because I was confused about how something worked. And then sometimes it was very, very, very wrong. And it would introduce things that would create trouble. Little tiny things you might not think are important, but they come back and bite you. So I think this collecting interest on tech debt that's happening over at Microsoft right now is not a big issue. Right now it's the lulls of it.
Yeah.
This will not last.
No.
This will build up until these little lulls, these little tiny jokey bugs turn into serious performance bugs, serious security breaches, serious functionality degradations, performance issues, and all the like. And the more Microsoft stuffs this down into there, and the more that this goes on, the worse Windows 11 is going to get. Until it starts crashing mysteriously and having all kinds of problems, until something really bad happens. And yeah, as they said, life finds a way. Just that's that guy on Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. Somewhere in there's going to wind up being a bug that's going to flip this sucker upside down, and it's going to be just terrible. It's going to go out in an update. We've already seen a preview of this for the SSD bug.
Yep.
Now that could have been an issue with those SSDs, and it was never conclusively really kind of pinned down.
I find it funny that those SSDs worked on other operating systems.
They did
just fine. But
now my
suddenly
theory here was my
Windows
my
11.
take on it. Here was my take on this. The SSDs might have been at fault, and they might have had these problems at load. But what was happening is Windows and Windows and Copilot were putting these drives under undue stress.
Yeah.
They were driving them with all their internal back-end stuff that it was causing these drives to fail. The bug might have been in the drive. The drive may have legitimately had the problem.
Yeah.
But most other operating systems weren't cranking on that drive so hard that would cause it to actually trip, because that's how much stuff Windows is doing in the background. I've heard stories of, on Microsoft Windows 11 you get 3 hours of battery life. You put that same hardware on Linux, it lasts 7 hours.
Yeah.
That's how much stuff is going on that system that Microsoft's doing on your machine without your knowledge. What I'm waiting for is Microsoft. Here's what I'm guessing is going to happen. Running AI is not cheap.
Yeah.
And Microsoft's depending it more and more and more. Here's what I'm beginning to wonder. How long is it going to be before Microsoft starts farming out their functionality of their systems to your machine in the background? If they're not already doing it. How long before your machine just becomes a cluster in their little network? They already consider your machine theirs, so why not?
Yeah. I think they're partially doing it because they got caught using people's game playtime to train their AI.
Yeah. So they're already running it.
They're
already running stuff in the background.
Games. Yeah.
So how long before background processes for a Copilot, I keep saying ChatGPT. How long before Copilot starts running on your machine for Microsoft in the background using because your machine is not sitting idle anymore. That means your CPU is more busy. That means it draws more power. That means Microsoft is causing you to have a higher electric bill for their stuff.
Yeah.
And when you think of how many machines that are connected to Windows all doing this in the background, all at the same time, how much more? It's like, again, back to the environment. For all the people complaining about the environment, Microsoft's running up the power grid. I mean, these companies have already been told by the Trump administration, you can build your own power plant. So what's Microsoft do? Nah, we'll just use your machine and run up the regular ones. And you get the bill for it.
And they're pushing their Copilot AI into everything, including
they're pushing it into everything. It's
and the taskbar, so that you can talk to your computer, and you can literally talk to your computer. Somebody demoed it.
There's nothing wrong with the functionality. It's just
do stuff for you.
To me, I'm looking at it going, it's not the problem of the machine you're talking to. I mean, look at Star Trek. We saw this in Star Trek all the time.
Yeah.
They talk to the computer. Computer, where is Commander Data right now?
Hello.
Commander Data is on the holodeck, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like all the little kind of questions about that. It's like, well, isn't that kind of like Data's, somebody's private time on the holodeck? You're just gonna tell everyone where they're at? Well, despite all that, it's like, but when does the computer stop listening to you?
Yeah.
When does it not listen to you? When does it decide it's heard enough? And how much of what you say when you don't think the computer is listening, I mean, everybody figures the NSA is probably doing that anyway.
Oh, and then there's this recall that just monitors everything that
there's
you're doing.
That. It's like it's Microsoft's personal spy device, and it's your computer you paid hundreds of dollars for just for Microsoft to just to spy on you and then sell what it finds to other people.
Big Brother.
I mean, Microsoft's the new Big Brother in this case.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised the CIA is not drooling with envy at this point. I mean, they used to have to be hidden and secret about it. Microsoft is doing it openly and blatantly.
There's a meme out there. 1984 was a warning, not an instruction manual.
Microsoft's just like, here, AI, read this. So this goes back to what we were talking about last time of why I want to switch away from. I don't even want to touch. My Windows 10 machine still using because I'm building Linux from scratch, and I'm using my current system. But I have cracked the code on how to build beyond Linux from scratch.
Yeah.
It's a complicated system, and I have finally cracked it, and I'm on my way to building my system out. But ironically, I was sitting here. Here's how ChatGPT can be. Here's how AI can be helpful. It did help me write my script. I'm not saying AI is evil. It's a tool. The problem is for Microsoft, AI is the right. Everybody, yeah, it's a crutch. The right tool for the right job. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you need the right people who know how to use the right tool. Like, for example, for Microsoft, everything has become a hammer, or everything has become a nail, and Microsoft thinks that their AI is the hammer.
Yeah.
It's not the right thing for everything, because not everything is a nail. Sometimes you need a saw, sometimes you need a whatever, and Microsoft thinks this is the one-size-fits-all solution. That never works, and it ain't working for them either.
No.
But for an example of how AI can be useful, for example, it helped me write my menu system. It works. It's been working to this day, except for that minor bug. I don't care. It's a minor bug. It's just a little visual issue. But it has helped me build what I'm trying to do. Second off, during the process of solving my BLFS problem, my Beyond Linux from Scratch problem, the trick with BLFS is unlike LFS, which is Linux from Scratch, the first section. It comes in parts. There's Linux from scratch and Beyond Linux from scratch. The first part gets you to a running kernel and a usable GNU system. But Beyond Linux from scratch isn't organized like that. It leaves it up to you to what you want to pick and choose what you want to install. But each individual package has a list of dependencies. And each dependency has dependencies and so forth and so on. It gets pretty deep. I started with Xinit to start the X Windows system for my project. And I had to start working my way back through this dependency tree. And I was doing it in a text file, and it was starting to get out of hand. And I tried it several other different ways, and it was still out of hand. So I just sat down, and I was thinking about when I used to work for the government. There used to be a flowcharting tool we used to have. I don't remember the name of it now. I don't think it was a Microsoft product, but it looked like one of theirs. I honestly just don't remember. Huh? I honestly don't remember the name of it. Yeah, I don't remember the name of it. Anyhow, I'm like, I need a visual tool. So I explained to ChatGPT what my problem was, and it made several suggestions. And YEd was one of the suggestions it made. So I checked it out, downloaded it. It's free. It's an open source. I don't know if it's open source. But it's definitely a Linux native app. You can tell by the way it's made with GTK that this is more meant to be on Windows. It's more meant to be on Linux.
Yeah.
But it was exactly what I needed. And so I was able to visually sort out the different components. And I used that. And then once I figured out all the dependency chains, I worked from the outermost. I then started chopping. I chopped off the outermost layer, put them in a list, chopped in the next layer, put it in the list, chopped the next layer, put it in the list, until I found the groupings of components, and I put those in their own list. That's how I finally solved it. But it was ChatGPT that helped me find the tool. I explained, here's what my problem is. I need a good tool. And it found me a good tool. That's perfect good use. So it's helped me in my work. But if I depend on it too much, like I'm trying to get this stupid script to do X, Y, or Z, and sometimes it gives you bad advice. Mistake I made early on was, okay, what's the minimum X Windows do I need to work? And it really butchered that. And that's why I had to just stop and go back. But so in one way it really helped, and another way I spent a week wasting my time fighting with it because I misused it, not realizing I was doing that. So it can be your friend, it can get you through work really quicker, but it can also be your worst enemy if it goes awry, if you throw something at it can't handle.
Grok helped me get SyncThing installed.
SyncThing?
Yeah. Where you can set up a folder that will sync between multiple computers. Yeah, I got that working.
And so for example, here's another good example. I'm building in my little 2GS emulator OS, right? Mm-hmm. It's a 2GS emulator built atop Linux. It's kegs. I'm just running kegs. That's all I'm doing. I'm just running it exclusively as if it was its own thing. But I asked ChatGPT. I said, I need 2GS software. Where can I find good collections of software? And about the first 3 or 4 links were all I needed. When I got through those pages, I had a mountain of 2GS software. It's going to take me forever to get through. And it was trying to be helpful, saying, use this other tool you used earlier to solve another problem, to here to try to, eliminate duplicates and stuff. It was trying to be helpful. But it's like, I've got more software now and I know what to do with. Packages I've looked for years, and it's like, oh, they were all in this. I didn't know where those archives were. I just said, I like good archives of, I found a whole site that had nothing, but the whole site itself was an archive of archives.
Yeah.
I even manuals and books I've not seen in years. Technical information, technical specifications, diagrams. What do they call those things for circuit boards? The word. Schematics, yeah. Things like that. Yeah. So there are times when it really, really helps out. Sometimes it helps out while you're just looking and go, wow, that's helpful. Other times it's like, what in the living hell are you trying to tell me? Because I started talking about flowcharting, and it started talking about edges and nodes, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And it's like, oh, well, that's what you call these things in flowcharts. News to me. And it says, you know what, I'll just call them arrows and lines if that works better for you. And I'm like, yes, thank you. I'm like, edges? What edge? I'm not working with edges. Nodes. I'm like, English, please.
Yeah.
Because it thought I understood flowcharting and all the normal terminology that might go with that. So anyway, the reason this is all concerning for Microsoft, which is kind of the main point, is of the many legs Microsoft's tried to kick out to kind of keep itself profitable and a well renowned company. You have server, mobile, gaming, and desktop.
Yeah. And
those are the 4 major categories Microsoft has tried to keyhole itself into. And 2 of them have never been great. The other 2, Microsoft did well at, and they've got a lot of fanboys who support Xbox to the end of the world if that's what it took. They got their fan bases.
Yeah.
It's the Microsoft v Sony. Sony won because Microsoft threw in the towel. They couldn't go all 20 rounds or whatever.
No.
And I don't think they're going to do well going forward, given that they keep pushing all their things, trying to be the TPM thing and all that. And I think the more they beat on the desktop, they would still survive off of that to some degree. But the building up bugs, the needing to be 30% profitable, but then going 30% Copilot.
Yeah.
And getting rid of all the staff to meet that 30% requirement. I'm just looking at that going, this is bad juju. This is not good. Because I said, as I'm thinking to myself, it's like you've already got bugs that are starting to get drastically bad. You got a UI that's pushing ads like a Sunday shopper. You've got AI trying to write sections. I'm sure doing its best with developers who are probably trying their best.
Yeah.
But they're not going to catch all these little bugs that AI is going to keep introducing until somebody somewhere finds a way to take advantage of these little bugs and turn them into a really big problem. The stability of Windows is going to degrade over time.
Their acquisition of Activision, I think
it broke the bank.
A very bad idea.
That broke the bank.
They're not getting a return on their investment. In fact, a lot of games that have been coming out lately,
they've been slowly shuttering the places. Slowly. Yeah. I mean, they're laying people off in droves. They're canceling shelving projects that might have done good, but we'll never know now. Mm-hmm. It's just bad juju all across the board for them, and they're just slowly dying.
Sony's in the same boat. They've had several games that just went nowhere. Concord lasted about a week. That went down the drain. Bungie is going to probably be in big serious trouble with their next game.
I think the problem is the entropy to gaming has reached a certain stage because the visual quality has never been easier to produce, but the amount of expertise to take advantage of what these engines now have to offer is so high, and the demands on these companies by their investors are no longer realistic.
Yeah.
And I think they cheated their way through a lot of it when the problem started surfacing by just simply rehashing old franchises to keep themselves afloat. It's like, at first, as they were developing, it came out to be, it was harder and harder to make good products, but then they discovered, well, let's just recycle last year's game. And so they started doing that cycle, and then they tried monetizations and stuff like that, but they got too aggressive. They got slapped back for that really hard several times. Several companies got really hit hard by too over-aggressive monetizations.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them still do it as much as the law will allow them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the games, the developers to make these games are too expensive. The time it takes to make a big game is too high now.
Yeah.
Ultra realism, bleeding edge, cutting edge graphics is difficult work. Even with a game engine that's assembled well enough that you could probably put something decent together, to optimize everything and to really clean it out and make it good takes time.
Yeah.
The last 10% of a game is harder than the first 90% to get it right. And a lot of companies just skip that step. So all you get is betaware, beta level gaming, if not alpha in some cases.
And they're basically getting their butt kicked by developers from China and Korea.
And the games aren't as fun anymore. And where you look at, take for example, Dyson Sphere Program.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small little game made by a small little company. That thing came out. No, they're Korean.
Oh, they're Korean. Okay.
I think they're Korean. I could be mistaken, but I think they're Korean.
Yeah.
And no, they could be Chinese. They're Chinese or Korean. I honestly don't remember.
Yeah.
But either way, these guys are good at what they do. These guys are really good. I mean, they've recently optimized the threading on that and give the players control of how to let the game thread the game properly as to what they're trying to do. Yeah. But when the game first came out, it was stunning to everybody because they did such good work on it that it felt almost production ready, even as an early access game.
Mm-hmm.
It was stunning, the quality of it when it first came out.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was enjoyable. And it wasn't a big name company with uber special graphics and uber this and uber that. It was just a small team that made a modest product within their means to make it, and they made it the best that they can for what they had. They took advantage of the best they could for building what they did, and they nailed it.
Yeah.
And they're still going good today. They're not like a big name. They're not EA or nothing, but they're doing a darn good job. Let me see. What is the rating for that game right now? I bet you they're pretty good. Let me check it out real quick. Fill in some blanks while I'm looking this up. Let's see. How are they doing? There you are. Start page. Let's see. They are. Oops. Need that for a second. It's still an early access game. It's still in early access. This game isn't even in production.
Yeah.
And the English reviews, 22. Let's see. Recent reviews very positive. English reviews, 23,473 reviews, overwhelmingly positive. And they released in January 21st, 2021. They're still in early access.
Yeah.
And this game is doing fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Who's the publisher? Youth Cat Studios. Publisher Gaminor Games. Let's see. Are they Korean or who are they? About. Well, that doesn't tell me anything about the company.
Hmm.
Do they have a website? News. It could be Chinese. Finder.
I think it said that they were a...
Alright, games. Got a website for them? See lists of games that they make. Well, this is the publisher. Who is the developer? That would be Youth Cat Studios. They did Dyson Spear, and I got another one called Bouncy Butterball.
Youth Cat is the developer.
Where are they from?
That's what I'm looking up.
Youth Cat Games. Doesn't link to their website. Let's see. Give me a new browser here so I can check this out. Okay, developer Youth Cat Studios.
China.
Okay, China. They're Chinese. Okay.
Yep.
You said it about the same time I found it. Shopping, China. Studio was started by Mao Mao, a graduate from, I guess that's his name, Mao Mao.
Mao Mao?
That's what it says. The studio was started by Mao Mao, a graduate from Chongqing University, and Zhao Jun, who was already working in the games industry. The two had met previously and had a shared interest in science fiction. So, okay. So, at least that's according to the Googleator.
Googleator.
So yeah, but I mean, they did a really good job on it. I mean, but okay, so where did I get into this? Back my way up the conversation tree here. But I've digressed so far. I've lost my path.
Oh.
I need my way back to the road.
Oh, there's been countless examples of like games from very small teams.
Oh,
small indie studios
yeah.
making incredible stuff. Like
Making
recently, a game called Escape
what was that?
from
Something
Duckov became a massive hit on Steam.
What was the other one? Something 33. What was it called?
Claire Obscure's Expedition 33.
That's another one from a
team of
smaller
only about
studio.
30 people.
Yeah, No Man's Sky's team's not much bigger.
About 100 there.
I don't even think it's that big.
Yeah.
But these smaller studios are making games that are more fun. They may not be as graphically impressive.
Yeah.
But many of them are just simply more fun. There's another one that's really popular. What's that? It has this little animated character, Sky something Link or something Inc. or what's it called? What's the other one that was? Yeah, I don't remember what it's called. It was kind of a side scroller.
A side scroller?
Yeah.
Well, I know the one that's really popular right now is Hollow Knight Silk Song.
Silk Song. That's it. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And that's made by a small group.
Yeah.
So these small groups are just kicking butt right now. I mean, they are the new games industry, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because the old big dogs are just they're They're too big not to fail.
There have been a few outstanding games that have come out made by a single person.
Mm-hmm. So the things are changing. But as far as Microsoft goes, I mean, they've put all that money into gaming and into that. What was it?
The Activision Blizzard.
The Activision Blizzard
they
thing.
They overpaid.
Yeah,
for
they
what
overpaid.
They were worth.
Yeah,
They
like I said, it broke Microsoft's
overpaid.
bank.
Yeah,
Microsoft used to have almost a bottomless money pit of money, and I think they burned a lot of that in there. That was not. They chose unwisely.
yes. And that's why they are
trying
to get people's information to sell it, requiring you to have your Microsoft account, pushing your AI, because AI is the big thing investors like to see on portfolios now.
Yeah, it's the new trend.
I saw the video. I don't know if it was Bellular or Louis Rossman. It might have been Bellular or somebody talking about the same amount of money just being handed around like a constant circle between these companies, OpenAI, Oracle, and different companies, just passing it along, keeping each other going.
You know what I think we're headed for? I think what we're headed for, and we saw this in the 90s. This
tech bubble
we are
3.0.
Yeah, this is the next tech bubble. We saw this back in the 90s where the internet, all these little companies that were we got a webpage, got a webpage, got a webpage, got to have a webpage. And it was all about the webpage.
Yeah.
And the whole thing just went boom. And very much the same thing that we see now. They were all passing each other around and throwing money here and there. And it was the promise of the information superhighway, as they would go on about it.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually the whole thing just collapsed in on itself.
A lot of companies vanished. Some companies stuck around. A few that are around today are... A few that are mainstays now were ones that were around then. But a lot of other companies just vanished overnight.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to see this again. All these AI companies are all coming out of the woodworks. Everyone's AI this, AI that, AI this, AI that. It's going nuts, going bananas, money being handed around. Oh, we're going to make profits. Wow. Yeah. And then eventually it's going to find out that, it's not all it's cracked up to be.
No. I mean, it's a good tool.
It's a good tool.
But you can't
the internet's a good tool, too. We still use web pages today.
Yeah.
But it's not what it once was.
No.
And that's the way AI is going to be. AI is not going to disappear.
No.
But it's going to have the same kind of
bottle.
Yeah. It's going to have the same kind of sort of meltdown the way that web pages once did. All these little startup companies are always going to fall flat on their face. A couple of the big players will fall over, and the handful that did things wisely will stick around and then muddle through until they can rebuild themselves better. The survivors will win in the end.
Yes.
And whether that's ChatGPT, if they survive this, or if Grok survives this, or Suna, or whatever.
Sora.
In the end, Sora. Eventually, there's going to be a handful. It's going to be a commodity. If people are going to know what it can do and what it can't do, just like web pages back in the day. Everybody had these big visions of what it could be like, the massive information superhighway. And it never came to fruition what they wanted.
No.
But they were still useful. They still
Congress
obviously
gave
used today.
A ton of money to the telecoms with the Telecommunications Act. Gave them a ton of money to spread broadband all over the country.
And it's all been squandered, and broadband sucked.
Our internet problems here are a direct result of them not spreading high-speed internet everywhere.
Yeah.
Like they were supposed to.
They basically took the concrete to build a new foundation and poured it down a well.
Yeah.
And then wondering why nobody ever got what they needed.
Mm-hmm. So like only certain areas got the better internet and everywhere else just got scraps.
Mm-hmm.
And now...
Even right now our internet's not working right. we should be having a gigabit, and it's only doing 300. And I'm too scared to give them a call, afraid if they try to fix it, that it'll make it worse. They'll fix the download speed, but break the upload speed again. I'd almost rather keep what I've got and let it work, and then try to have them fix it and break more.
We have a way to fix it, but it costs an enormous amount.
Yeah,
To do that.
and the thing is, at the where it's at right now would be about what we would get. So I'm like, meh, it's not broke enough, so don't fix it to where it's better, where it's not.
Yes.
So,
And
in the end of the day, here's my thinking.
Yeah.
As Microsoft, this is going to be this is going to be the ironic thing. The year of Linux, I think, is going to be 2026, and I think the biggest driver to that reality will be Microsoft and their failure to do what they need to do. Because as grandmas lose their photos of kids to Windows' machinations, they're going to start demanding Junior to put something on the machine that'll work. And Junior's like, well, there's this Linux thing. And the desktop of Linux, beyond gaming, the desktop works.
Yeah.
You could do most anything you would want to do on it. Grandma ain't going to care. Can she have photos of Junior? Of the grandkids? Of the dog? Of whatever? The cat?
ProtonDB recently announced that 90%, well, these are games, but 90% of games now work on Linux with Proton.
Yeah.
And
so
you can I've seen people do it. You can run stuff like Adobe Photoshop, and you can run Microsoft Office and things on Linux with Wine.
Oh, I'm sure Microsoft to make sure you can't use Windows there eventually.
Yeah.
They'll make Office need a TPM. Why does your document need your security device?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's just Microsoft trying
they're
to...
now, one thing they're doing now with Office is that they're forcing people to, they're setting it as the default to save to their cloud storage instead of your local machine.
So your personal documents are Microsoft's for perusal at their leisure.
Uh-huh.
That way they can have the AI. They're training the AI off of you.
Oh, they even
you are now as a user their resource that they can just
if you store images on Google Drive, they will now train their AI off of your images, do facial recognition.
So your kid's
and you
face
can only opt out of it 3 times a year.
Your kid's face. If somebody else across the country asks for, I want an image of a couple of kids playing in a field. Your kid's face could wind up on that photo.
Yeah. On an ad somewhere. Yeah.
And it could be your kid's face because Microsoft trained their AI what faces look like off of your data. They're doing this now.
Yep.
So you are now the source for their machinations or whatever they're doing.
You are the product.
You are the source of their product. Yep. You are a commodity to them.
Yep.
And this, like I said, this cannot be tolerated anymore.
No.
Just get off of Windows.
Yeah.
It's one thing if it's one thing for Microsoft to use publicly available data on web pages that are published that people want out on the web. So that way, like company puts out a photo, there's stock photos, stock images all over the place. But to take your kids, your dog, your life, your environment, your world, and use it to train their AI so it winds up on somebody else's face in an image or an ad somewhere it's just beyond belief what they're doing.
Yeah.
And enough. Get off of Windows. That's my thing. Get off of Windows. Get off of this. Stop being their commodity. They're trading. They're just get off of them.
I'm partially there. Well, we're both working on it. You're building your own. Building your own distros.
Once my other machine over here has been built the way I want to build it. Now I'm not in a hurry. I'm taking my time. I want to do it right. And that's another thing. One of the reasons I'm taking my time is long time ago, in a galaxy far away. No, a long time ago, I couldn't help it. That you know, Windows used to be customizable. You used to be able to do more with the desktop. You used to set colors and themes, and you used to be able to lay things out. There was a whole screen for nothing but the color of the windows and the sidebar and all this other stuff. You can do none of that today. You can just set a background photo and that's it. You just get whatever Microsoft gives you and that's it.
Yeah.
You can't customize anything.
Color theme.
Yeah. And then it's only what they want you to have. Well, I want to go back to being able to customize my desktop the way I want it. And unlike Windows, Linux is the absolute maximum opposite. It's not just a choice of, like, what colors do you want? What kind of desktop do you want? Do you want it to look like Mac? Do you want it to look like Windows? Do you want it to look like something else? What kind of OS core do you want? Do you want Ubuntu? Do you want Debian, Arch Linux? You know how the layout works, the kind of kernel features, Fedora. There's so many choices, and so right now, along with my project, I'm going to be spending a lot of time customizing my system the way I want it to be. For example, sometimes you buy these little handhelds and they'll have 1,000 games on them or something. Yeah. Many of these are running Linux. These are all just running a version of Linux. And everything on there to do that is on there. It's a copy of Basicera.
Yeah.
And these little Korean companies or Japanese companies or Chinese companies do that. They go out there and they find all these things however they want to find them.
Those
little handheld devices.
Kim Hank devices.
Yeah, those little devices. We got 2 of them. We've got that little. You can buy them at Amazon. They got a little desktop unit. It's basically a pie in a little box. And you plug a HDMI cable, it's got a little thing with a game controller on it. But on these things, there's a little SD card that has all the games on it. And there are thousands of games in there.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I've already paid for it. I don't care how they got it. If they didn't license it, that's their problem. I paid for it, so I'm done. How they got it ain't none of my business.
Yeah.
But I paid for it, so, I'm using it. But what I want to do is I'm going to put a copy of Basicera because it's using Basicera. The layouts are the same internally. It's one thing I've already discovered. When you go down and look into the file system, it's laid out exactly. So you just basically import that to Basicera. So instead of using that little handheld device that I already bought, or that little handheld device that I had that had the same thing, even more games, I'm going to take a partition here and I'm going to put Basicera on it. And so when I boot, I get to choose between my 2GS, my Basicera, or my full desktop. So I can turn it into my old school Mac, like when I was growing up, or my Apple 2GS, like when I was growing up, and I found some nice stuff where I can take that thing out. I can have it do that. I can have it be it's like a completely different machine, or I can have it behave like a game console, having those little handheld things. It's like it's a game console all of a sudden. So this little Commodore here is going to behave like a game console, like that, as if it was its own game console with all these games on it. Or my 2GS, or a desktop, whatever mode I want it in. And that's something I can just pick from, and that's what I'm doing, because Linux is so customizable. You can make it behave any way you want. You can bend that operating system to any way you want it to be.
Oh yeah.
And I intend to do some bending. I'm gonna have some fun with that. So, you can't do any of that with Windows.
No.
And so I'm going to spend time sort of customizing and configuring it the way that I want it to be until I'm happy with it. And once I'm done, once I've got this little machine, this little Commodore thing the way I want it to be, and I got everything all set up nice and neatly, my Windows box that I'm currently on, I'll make sure everything's off of there, and I'm going to wipe it away. I'm going to put probably, which one's the best for games? Cache, probably Cache.
Cache OS.
I'll probably put Cache on there.
To choose.
I'll probably put Cache with Steam. I probably have Discord. I think Discord works on there too, right? It'll kind of be similar to how I'm using it now. It'll just be trimmed down to just the core things like Steam, Cache, Discord, whatever else I want to put on here, and just run that. That's how I'm going to do it. If I need a Windows game, I'll just run it in a VM, because this does have the VM. This is an older machine, but it still supports what's that
virtualization.
Virtualization. I
Yeah.
can still run that on there. If I need to run Windows for something, I'll just run it in a window. I'll
Yeah.
just run Windows in a window that way if I need something windowy. And that's basically it. So that way I'm done with Windows. I can just break its glass.
Winboat gets GPU pass through. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're probably hard at work on it, I imagine.
That probably wouldn't help people who want to play stuff like Battlefield 6.
No, you're screwed.
You're
What's the other one? Fortnite? What is the other one?
Because Battlefield 6 requires secure boot and TPM 2.0.
Which is stupid for a game to need that, but whatever.
I mean, they say it works. They say it's stopping piracy, but at what cost? You know, it's like it's.
Well, is it piracy or cheating? Or is it a little bit of both?
A little bit of both.
Because I would think that since they can identify you. Oh, that's something else I want to get into too. As far as TPM goes, that this gets exactly where I want to go with that. Because they can identify you and they can block your TPM and you're screwed. You can't run. You can't connect to their service. You're locked out. They can ban you permanently unless you actually get another machine. You have to get a whole new computer to undo that, and you can't VM it.
Or if you're lucky and your TPM 2.0 module is not a chip soldered to the board, but is something plugged in, you can unplug it and replace it.
I don't think they can do that yet because the keys are burned into it. Yeah, the keys are burned in, so the keys are burned in for the manufacturer.
Yeah.
So they can't change the keys, at least not yet. But the keys are already it's a public-private key pair.
Yeah.
So because it's a physical device like that, they can sort of do that.
But since it is kernel level, that's a big gaping hole in your Windows.
It's a security hole. But here's the problem with TPM: because it can identify you, regardless of what else you do. I mean, look what happened in Canada with the truckers. They could, if a bank did not like you, like let's say you did something that you're with a group that they just don't like.
Yeah.
They could take your key and lock you out of your account. They can lock you out of whatever they want to lock you out of. You can't get on social media because whatever reason. I'm pretty sure that the folks over in China are probably loving this thing. Because now they can really track what people are doing.
They have the social credit score thing.
Yeah.
Where there are people who
if your score is not high enough, they can look up your code on your machine, match it to your score, and say, nope, we don't like you. Your score is too low. Bye-bye. So there's all kinds of nasty things that can be done with it. I'm not saying this is what they're doing with it now, but I'm saying if things got out of hand and things went out of control, it's something that's an option because that's there.
Yeah.
Now, on my little Mac, is it the hardware inside? Not Mac, but my little Commodore. The system, the hardware inside is the firmware is pretty open.
Yeah.
And what it does let me do is it does have the chip, but in the firmware I can turn it off. It becomes inaccessible.
I can turn mine off.
Yeah. So I keep mine turned off on this thing.
Yeah.
So I like it, at least there's a thing that you can turn it off. So at least there's that. I've always been weary of this because I've always been afraid that what's to stop a manufacturer from producing a machine that the firmware will not turn off the device and will not turn off secure boot. That's always scared me. Like, yeah, okay. When I first heard about what these were, secure boot and TPM, I'm like, but what happens in the day that they decide that when you buy a new computer that these two things cannot be disabled? Because that's a very, very, very short stepping stone from where they're at to doing that.
Yes.
It's a very, very easy thing to implement at this stage. If the computer hardware manufacturer said, nope, you've got to have it, you cannot turn it off, you cannot disable it, it's burned in, burned on, you can't undo it. And if it's disabled or turned off, or if you go in there and try to solder disconnect the circuit to it, your machine bricks.
Yeah.
It's like, how long before they pull that stunt? That's what, when I first heard of TPM and Secure Boot, that's the thing that made me nervous about them, because I'm like, but what stops them from turning this on and disabling the disability of it, or having it to where, you know, it bricks if you try to go around it.
Yeah, because Microsoft already, when you have installed Windows, when you try to dual boot Windows and Linux, it will delete the Linux partition.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the other thing, is like, you can't. I'm surprised they've not been sued for anti-competitive behavior. I think, except for the fact that the government doesn't even know how to keep its own lights on. Never mind fix something like this.
Yeah.
In terms of anti-competitive lawsuit, I mean, that is anti-competitive lawsuit territory.
Yeah.
But you would need something. You would need like the sort of thing we had back in the '90s, where the government was suing Microsoft over Internet Explorer. You would need something at that tier to make Microsoft move. Otherwise, they're not going to give a crap. They're just going to pay whatever fine they're charged
The
and
fact
move
that
on.
Linux can't work on a machine that has Secure Boot on is anti-competitive.
Yeah. That alone should be... That's why it's questionable from the get-go.
Yeah.
But, you know, these machines are made in another country. There's a whole bunch of legality, bibbidi-boop about all this.
Yes.
So, I'm surprised that, you know, but it's like, why would some of these governments want to fight it? Because they want to track their people. And so why would they, if they're handed a, you know, key to the user's kingdom, why would they turn it down or try to not let companies do it?
Yeah.
They probably are the ones who commissioned them to do it to begin with.
Oh.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
They're certainly not in the disapproval, because they want to track their citizens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, it's not 1984 was not a manual,
Instruction manual. Yeah.
TPM and Secure Boot are definitely an addendum to 1984.
Yeah. Well, to round out everything,
that sums that up. Yeah. Go Linux. Just save yourself the hassle.
Go Linux. Yeah. And
The day that Windows finally blows up big will be the day you're going to be thinking your lucky stars you got as far away from it as you could.
And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
It's a matter of when.
That's going to happen.
Because they're already busy doing crazy stuff, so it's only going to get worse.
All this craziness of them wanting to force people to use their cloud thing, wanting to force them to use their AI, wanting
force
to
you onto the cloud and
Microsoft
looking
accounts.
at your photos for their own purposes.
Yeah.
Trusting that Microsoft employees aren't going to take your data if they see you. If the thing is taking a screenshot of your screen every 3 seconds and it's compressing and analyzing its data, what is somebody from Microsoft? They say, but we're not looking at any of your stuff. How do we know? And looking at your screen and finding your bank account information or other things, and then selling that to not so nice people.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder.
Because you might say, yeah, you could trust Microsoft as a company, maybe fine, but how does that translate to an individual within the company who's got nefarious purposes?
Yes.
Microsoft as a policy can say, we don't do this, but they can't monitor every one of their employees 24/7, 365. What's going to happen if one of their employees, which are already underpaid, says, you know what, I know a way to make a buck or two. I got all this data at my fingertips from all these people that are using Microsoft. Microsoft's forced all this data into our hands. Maybe Microsoft as a company might say, this is not our policy, and they may mean it. They may very well mean that. That may be their intention. But if they have a rogue employee who's got access to all this data, who knows how to get into it, and that employee's underpaid and with too much technical skill and not enough paycheck, you go, I think I know a way to make a buck. And take your data and go do something terrible with it.
Yeah.
And before Microsoft may not even know it's happening until it's too late.
I mean, this sort of thing has happened before.
Or with that nice, or worse yet, with that nice little Honeywell of information there, that somebody else doesn't break through Microsoft's joke of what they call security and goes in there and snatches their whole freaking database out for themselves to go do terrible things with. And given how the quality of Windows degrading would probably mean, you could easily say that how long is it going to be for the security degrades? And they're already known to be easy to hack. That's why they're not dominant in the server markets.
I told you earlier about a vulnerability that they have that has been there for a long time that they still have not fixed.
Right. What keeps an external force from getting into their system, grabbing the data they want to grab, all your personal data, all your information, and then running off with it and doing something horrible with it?
Yeah.
You don't have anything like that on Linux because there's no central server.
No central server.
I mean, you choose if you want to use Netflix, you choose if you want to use Spotify, you choose if you want to use Amazon. Then you and those companies, these things happen from time to time.
You choose if you want to use cloud storage like Dropbox or Google Drive.
Right. But with Microsoft, they're like,
you could run your own. You could use own cloud and run your own cloud
but my
service
point
on
is,
another machine.
You as a user, when it comes to things like Netflix, Spotify, Facebook, Amazon, whatever online service, you choose whether or not you want to be their customer. Microsoft's saying, we don't give you a choice, you belong to us. And that is the difference. It's the same thing with, you will use our browser or else. This is, you will use our stuff the way we want you to use it, and we're going to put all your data online, whether you like it or not.
You will own
You're not
nothing
getting
and
a
be
choice.
happy.
Yeah, we're taking all your stuff, and you can be happy with that. And they're forcing you to be that kind of an online customer when you don't want to be.
Yeah.
That's the difference between what Microsoft's doing and a service like Netflix or Spotify or all the others. All those, you don't have to deal with them. And until recently, it was the same way with Microsoft. If you didn't want a Microsoft account, you got Windows because you bought the computer. You didn't have to screw with any of their stuff. You could just ignore Microsoft. Now, they're not letting you do that.
Nope.
They're like, no, we're going to make you do our way, whether you like it or not.
And
you're going to give us all your data, whether you like it or not. That's the problem.
Every update,
That's
they
the
keep
difference.
bending over backwards to break some new way of bypassing that.
Yeah.
And in doing so,
that is the difference.
Broke
Netflix, Sprint, you get all the choices. Windows, you don't.
Yeah.
That's a hacker's or a cracker's paradise out there.
Yeah. Now, as Linux becomes more popular, it could become a target for people.
It would be. There are already people trying to do stuff for it.
Yeah.
And it kind of comes down to how well the security is set up on your system, how well you maintain your system security.
Yeah.
There are features that, because getting Unix systems, they can get hacked. They're not invulnerable.
Yeah.
It depends on how you set them up and
There's
what operating.
there are things like app armor that is supposed to help protect your system.
There are ways to protect it. Yeah, there are things that you can do, and nowadays, I mean, security companies make a lot of business doing this sort of thing. So having software that a well-maintained system is very hard to crack.
Yeah.
But most people don't know how to do it. It's not an easy process.
No.
I mean, even on my little machine here, I got down to CrackLib, and that's used for building strong passwords. I downloaded a huge database of words that it will not let you use as passwords from like multiples. I mean, these were like cracked libraries from popular websites that have gone public, and they use those as listed words that you don't want to use because this same list would be used to crack your password.
Yep.
So you don't want a password that's already been known to have been hacked. I've been curious to check to see if any of my passwords might have been in there. I would not be surprised if they were.
Yeah. I mean, not even stuff like 2FA is 100% secure.
It's hard to have everything. There's only so much you can do. You can go absolutely bananas trying to do this and to your own detriment and lack of mental health,
Yeah.
you can drive yourself nuts. The thing is, take reasonable precautions, be mindful where you go, be mindful how you get into stuff and what you do, and generally you're not going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And Linux systems are generally secure enough that it's not too much to worry about.
Yeah.
It's like, is there a package on there that could be compromised in security? Most distros try not to let that happen. Not to say everyone's perfect, things can happen, but at least your data is not being deliberately slathered all over the internet like it was with Microsoft.
There have been attempts to put compromised code in the AUR. There has been attempts to do that. Linus and them caught somebody trying to introduce compromised code to the kernel.
You might want to specify Linus Torvalds, I think.
Linus
you're referring
Torvalds,
to, not Linus from Tech Tips.
Not Linus Sebastian. Linus Torvalds.
Yeah.
The person
those who did it
created
FOFA.
Yeah. Yeah, they have caught people. They've caught people. One group, they did it as a joke, and they got their entire university blacklisted from releasing updates for the kernel. It's
something they take rightfully serious. You don't screw around with it.
No, you don't screw around with this.
But remember that AUR is specifically an Arch problem, though, and Arch is more for Arch as an OS is generally those for more experienced users.
It can be for newer people too. Arch is mostly a community-driven distro.
Well, what we're saying is that can be its weakness, though.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, in general, though, like pure Arch, like raw pure Arch, even you wouldn't touch.
Yeah.
Have you ever? Yeah, because I mean, it's pure Arch is something you don't want to mess with. Usually, you want Arch where it's been wrapped up, kind of nice and pretty, like
Manjaro or
Cache.
Steam OS.
Steam OS is Arch.
Is Arch. Yep.
It is. Usually the people who maintain the distro are the ones responsible for dealing with are there bugs in this version of XYZ, and only release components that are tested, that they've tested and they know that work. And it kind of comes down to how well, it's not so much Arch itself, in and of itself, by itself, which, is a weak point, but the downstream producers of distros, it kind of falls on them to, mind the gate.
Yeah.
To make sure that things work well with whatever distribution that they're producing down to their quality control. That way, when they put it out, that it's good, whether it be Valve or whoever else is doing it. So that way they know that, yes, this is safe. It is secure. We don't have to worry about people busting into it and doing terrible things.
And you're not getting that kind of quality control with Windows.
Yeah, that at least you have a layer of security. So you have a couple of layers of security. You got the AUR maintainers themselves, and then the distro layers themselves. So multiple eyes get to look at these things before it gets in your hands.
Yeah.
That at least with those extra checks, that for whatever is, as long as if you're using a distro like Arch, what's the other one you said? I keep forgetting the name of. Your distro that you want to use.
Oh, Cache OS.
Cache, yes, Cache or Steam OS that you've got that you've had a lot of set of eyes looking over it before it gets into your hand. So at least there's that.
Yeah.
I think that helps in a way that all Linuxes are kind of vulnerable to that. At least if you have instead of using a pure distribution, using one of the derivatives like Archie, Steam, that those other set of eyes are looking at it, so you don't have to worry quite so much about if the pure one is clean or not. At least there's another set of eyes that can roll back and say, hey, this was cracked by something slipped through, and they go, oops. And they look back at the submitters and go, you're banned.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it's like that's one of Linux's strengths, is like you have this community, thing going on. So it's both a weakness, but it's also a very good strength. I think is the best way to kind of maybe put that. Where Windows, Oh no, at least you have humans looking this over, and maybe an AI or two might look it over. But Windows is just AI. Good luck.
Yeah.
I honestly think that over the next year or so, there's a high risk of probably pretty significant failure in Windows to a point where you'll be glad that you got off it. And that's then I think it will be the year of the Linux desktop after that, as people start moving in more larger communities. It might still take a year or two, but I think it's coming.
Yeah, I think to round things out here is use Linux.
Use Linux.
Microsoft they
falling
are
apart.
Definitely falling apart.
Falling apart and selling you to the highest bidder.
They don't look it. I think like a lot of big tech companies, they're overvalued in their stock evaluation.
Oh, they definitely
They're
are.
just one major, very big public screw up away from their stock just nosediving. From their value just disappearing. I mean, but there are people who will say, "Oh, there's no way that they can. They got too much market share." Well, there were companies in the past that were like that. There were companies that were big, and where are they now? Where are they today? They're not around.
Yeah.
Companies that seemed so big.
I mean,
so
where's
powerful.
AOL?
Yeah, AOL. Yahoo. Where's Yahoo?
Where's Yahoo? Yahoo's a joke compared to what it once was.
Oh, God. I mean, AOL just recently, I think just in the last, I think it was before.
It was recently.
It was just very recently shut down their dial-up service.
Yeah.
For good. I mean,
they're completely out of it now. They're just placeholder for other products now.
Yeah. I mean, just news and media and stuff. That's about it. And Yahoo.
And once upon a time, their CDs were coasters for many glasses.
Yes. You used to be able to get those all over the place. A lot of people. America Online was once synonymous with the internet.
Yeah. Because for some people, they thought that was the internet.
Yeah, they thought America Online was the internet. Now, like most people today, what's America Online?
Yeah.
There are some people who've never heard of it. There are people who have never signed on and heard.
There are new people in now that they have never used a modem.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even they've never heard the screeching sounds of a dial-up.
Nope.
They just don't know. Dial-up, what's that? Don't know. Use your phone. Why use my phone for the internet all the time? What's so weird about that? They just got no concept.
Oh, none whatsoever. All right, we're getting to our final part here. What have you been doing lately? I think you've already been talking about a lot of it today.
You mean me
what's been going on with you?
Me. I've been working on my Linux from scratch project.
Yeah.
That's been my major focus.
That's been your big thing.
The goal of the project is I have a Commodore 64X that I bought after I got interested in the project after Perry Fractic had his big Commodore X video before he bought the company.
Yeah.
And it was that first video where he showed it off, and I loved what I saw. And the stuff that I went and got me one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working on it for a while, and then with all this Windows 11 drama, I decided that I was going to move to Linux. But I had this relief. I don't know where I even got this idea at. That this machine's EFI boots stupidly fast.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to make it look like when you turn it on, it boots like a 2GS.
Yeah.
Because I used to be a big Apple IIe user, and I always wanted a 2GS. And it also goes back to I want to pick up on something I never got to do. When I was little, I wanted to I programmed an AppleSoft Basic.
Yeah.
I mean, I wrote that before I even had access to an Apple IIe. I was practically born with a AppleSoft Basic book in my hand. Since I was in the third grade. Anyhow, so I actually did buy me a real 2GS, but I don't have any parts or accessories or anything for it. It's sitting there on a shelf. I'd love to be able to use it, but I just don't have all the other parts, and that kind of stuff has gotten so expensive lately.
Yeah.
I just came at it a little late.
And we don't know if you plug it in and turn it on, if there's
Yeah,
magic smoke coming out of it.
Yeah, I'm a little afraid of even turning it on because, it might need to be recapped, and I've got the equipment, I just don't have the skill or practice at it.
The reefa in there might just go boom.
Might go kaputski, and I don't want the house to smell with that.
Yeah.
So what I decided to do was I bought this Commodore. It was a bread bin Commodore. It looks like an old Commodore, as close as one could get. And what I decided to do was I'm going to have multiple operating systems on there. But I'm going to build this up so that when you turn it on, it boots straight and quickly, as fast as you could get, considering how fast it used to be back in the day, straight into GSOS. And it's gonna have all the niceties that I'm gonna put all the little. I got bunches of software for it, but I'm gonna work on my basic skills, and I'm gonna pick up something I always wanted to do. Was work on assembler.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I noticed I would write games in AppleSoft Basic. My problem was they ran slow, and I couldn't do anything of any real meaning because it would just be too slow to do anything. I couldn't write any games or do anything, and I couldn't get anywhere with it. And there was no internet yet. Yes, there was a time in my life where there was no internet. I don't know how we ever got along. And I couldn't. I made my mom buy a few books for me out of the library. I made her buy the books. I was not letting go of those things.
Those are probably not easy. Those probably weren't cheap books either.
I think they were probably $20-$30. Mom was not happy. But I would not let the thing go. But none of that had anything to do with assembler. But there was one chapter in one of the books, one of the chapters on assembly and on the machine language. And so I was introduced to what machine language was, and I'm like, everything is written in this. And through a kind of long, roundabout, winded process, I found a program that taught assembly. I didn't know what it would lead to, but I found a program and I followed it. And I wound up getting a job for the government doing IBM assembly. Yeah, I went the wrong direction, but I've learned assembly though.
Yeah.
And through that, I quit the government after a while. And after a long while, for 20 years. And I still have not. I know assembly, IBM assembly, but I know the basics for how most assemblies work. But I have yet to do the one thing I wanted to do, and that's learn the 6502
assembly. Yeah.
And also back at school, they had an Apple IIgs, one Apple IIgs in the whole school. I got to play on it occasionally. But I always wanted one. And I've learned since then that they're 16-bit. The GS stands for graphics and sound. I didn't even know that until recently. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, this is all built in. I didn't know. Compared it to, what would be compared to an Amiga?
Yeah, it's comparable to an Amiga 1000.
So I could go back to being able to write stuff like I wanted to, not just in the old 8-bit that I would have learned, but now in 16-bit, and be able to actually make games on it.
Yeah.
And I want to do that. So I want to build this thing out so that I can do that. So, I mean, maybe I'll make a few games and put them out there on the web for people who run 2GSs or 2GS emulators to play them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of where I want to go with it. So that's one of my goals with this. It's the Kegs emulator, and I'm building a custom Linux from scratch build with just enough parts and pieces just to run it. And that's what I want to be able to do. And I want it to look and feel like a GS. What I'm even going to do is that for this machine, that will be the bootloader. And what I mean by that is the machine will, if you turn it off, turn it back on, it will boot to the GGS. It's gonna be my machine. And I want to be able to learn how to hack the code. The 2GS and 2E only had 7 ports. If you type PR8, you'd get an error. Well, I want to have it so if I type PR #8, it tells the emulator to go out and run a particular script to reboot the system in a way that lets it boot the full regular bootloader.
Yeah.
There's a way to do that. Boot the full bootloader so that I get a full OS list of choices and I can pick my other game system or my
You load into Batocera or load into
Batocera or Bazide or whatever else I want to use.
Yeah.
But you turn it off, turn it back on, you're gonna get the 2GS. That's how I want it to work. I want it to be like that. So it's like it's a 2GS and all the other stuff is optional. So that's so it's gonna have 3 different states. It'll have my 2GS, and I'll have Batocera, which will be my game console in my kind of game console mode.
Yeah.
And then my full desktop mode, which I'm gonna customize. I probably run Archie. I'll probably figure out what desktop I want to. I don't know if you get choices with that or not. I have to look into it. I haven't gotten that far yet.
Yeah.
But that's my main project these days. This is what I'm doing as my little kind of for fun thing. This is my for fun thing. But it's also once I get the full desktop installed, I've got another 2 terabyte hard drive sitting over here for backup for files. I'm gonna move everything off my Windows machine and put it on there. Keep it all backed up. And my big Windows machine, that's currently Windows, it's got my NVIDIA 480 or 4080, 4070, whatever it is. That'll be my big game machine where I can play games. And I'm going to put Casio in there as just a regular OS. And just use it like I do right now, just with Linux on it. I'm using what I have right now.
Yeah.
The thing where I'm working at.
My projects, well, I've got a book that I'm supposed to be writing. I've got to get back to work on that, but I also want to get both my machines up and running fully with Linux. One machine's already on Linux right now, and that is this little HP Elite Desk that we bought. We originally bought this thing to use with Batocera to run arcade games and stuff.
I had found a collection of the actual stand-up arcade machines of Pac-Man and a few others.
Yeah.
And I discovered that MAME only certain versions of MAME work with certain versions.
Yeah.
And I spent a long time sorting that out. Which version works with which ROMs? Which ROMs? And I finally got it working, and they're good quality.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the real deal. It's the real as you can get it in terms of the software running. Mm-hmm. It's great. But in fact, it's one of the things I'm going to put on here when I get everything all sorted out.
Yeah.
But I want that back up and running. I want that back because I spent a lot of work on that.
You bought that machine, so
I wanted to do that. I mean, I bought that little HP machine. That was going to be what it was going to be used for.
You bought the little HP machine, but then you bought the Commodore system.
Yeah, I bought the Commodore, and so I gave you that one. So that way you could do whatever you wanted to do with it. Because I was using it for Linux from scratch at an earlier attempt.
So I put Manjaro on this, and that's what we're using now. What we're doing recording this is with Manjaro. My desktop is still Windows right now. I've been backing stuff up, identifying things that I need to back up. Yeah, it's Windows 10. I'm not using 11.
In this house, 11 is not allowed.
There are a few things that I still have to back up. I still have to back up my new password lists. I still have to back up my favorites. There's a few video clips that I need to back up.
You got a lot of backup and just sort of moving out of the machine. It's like
there are
packing a house.
There are things I can do without that I don't need to back up. I need to identify those things, and things that I do need to back up. I still need to go through all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then I can load up Rufus, make a USB stick of CashOS, and reinstall this machine completely. I had wanted to wait until I replaced all my hard drives with SSDs, but that was going to take me forever to do on my budget.
Well, it's easy enough to add those even after Linux is on.
Yeah, it's easy enough to add those. I mean, the smart...
With the drives in there, you'll have to figure out exactly where you want to lay out your partitions and your folder and your drive mounts.
Yes. Because these are going to be for game storage from Steam. That's what they're used for now.
Yeah. Well, I use I have a couple drives in here, and I use them with StableBit.
Yeah.
But there's no Linux equivalent to StableBit, short of me.
LVM.
Yeah, but I don't want to rely on LVM because the one nice thing about StableBit, even though it's not full RAID software,
Mm-hmm.
is it does do real-time duplication.
It doesn't make you have to use a non-standard disk
Yeah,
format.
if something goes bad and you have to pull the drive out, you're just looking at one folder with all of your data under it, and you can just pull it out and you're good. Whichever drive remains, if the mirror gets broken, you just go to the remaining drive and just put it in any normal machine. You see a little folder there with StableBit and a big UID at the end of it, and you just go in there and there's all your stuff. You copy everything out, you're good to go.
There's a growing number of games now that are starting to require SSDs.
Oh, that's become the norm. It's kind of the standard now. So many games need it.
Standard.
You know, we especially need it because of Star Citizen, because we play that.
Star Citizen needs it. Final Fantasy
Dune
does better with it.
It does better with it. It doesn't need it, but it does better. Dune requires it.
Dune requires it. Cyberpunk doesn't. It prefers
but
it.
It would run better with it.
It would run better with it, but there is a hard drive mode you can put it into that will let it run better.
Optimize itself for that play.
Alrighty then. I think that's about it.
How long has this been?
This has been almost a 2-hour show.
Ooh, we got to find a way to compress this down to something shorter than.
Well, we had a lot to say. Or you had a lot to say.
Well, yeah, I kind of want to diatribe some.
Well, we had to. I mean, we had to get a lot of things across. I mean, right now, staying with Windows is not a good bet.
It's not a good option.
No,
it's really the best way. The best thing to do is just get away from it because you don't know when something's gonna happen.
Yeah, and with
the
way
it's going, something's gonna happen.
Yeah, something. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when. And I think it's gonna.
You don't want to get caught up in it because if it's bad, you don't want to be mixed up in it.
Yep.
The safest place to be is any place else. If you value your data, be someplace else.
Yes.
As Dylan kind of said.
Yeah.
If you value your data, be someplace else.
Alrighty then. That's it for the show.
That's it.
Again, this is a new format that we're doing. We're not doing the whole thing with the gameplay stuff.
I think in the future, along with not having the full-on stream at the end, I think we should probably work on compacting it though down to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Today was an exception, but
an exception, but
call it an initial edition, pilot episode, special edition.
I've seen a lot of Linux podcastings go on for like 2 hours or so. So this is not something any unusual.
Okay. All right then. At least we didn't do a David Wilcock marathon of 5 hours.
No.
So, we'll take that.
No. He's live streaming that though.
Yeah, he's live streaming that.
All right. Well, I have been Mike TheZorch with TygraCon. This has been the Linux Gamer Show, episode 2. And we're still working on the formula.
Work in progress
for the show. Thank you for watching, and we will be back with more news and more things to talk about next week. See you then.
Adios.